Let us welcome Professor K K Sharma. He is a professor of practice in a renowned institution. He has contributed substantially to the field of management. He started his career, corporate career, very early when he was, he is a topper throughout. We have always seen him, performing exceedingly beyond imagination always. And when we were in the final year, Kamal Kishore and we were batchmates. So when we were in final year, he took a great opportunity. At that time, it was a very prestigious opportunity. And he joined Bokaro Steel Plant at that time. And thereafter, he moved to through civil services examination, he moved to Indian Railways and then to a few corporates, and then wanted to give back to the society. And with that aspiration, he joined IIM Ahmedabad in the fellow program. And then after a few academic instincts, he has now again joined IIM Kozhikode as a professor of practice and carrying his amazing leadership experiences, transmitting them to the students and enabling them to be the future corporate leaders. So let us understand from Professor K K Sharma how it is like to transmit the industry experiences that he carries to the next generation, how difficult it is or how easy it is as per his convenience, and what have been his experiences so far.
Thank you very much, Trilok. Very gracious introduction, very profuse with hyperbole. When you are always good with words, as I have known you, a very good friend of mine. Now let's get into hygiene first. I don't love talking to the wall. I can see only Trilok, so I don't know whether I'm interacting with Trilok or others.
No, there are others also.
I wish all of you would.
They're all faculty colleagues. These are all professors of management. You can see Rajat, Swati Mishra, Tina Bajaj, Neha Saini, Swati, Sakshi Arora.
No, I want them to put on their videos. Man. I know they are there.
Yes, yes. Probably they might be, because all of them are involved in multiple work, so they might be, doing something also along with the this interaction, and probably that video might not be therefore appropriate. So, we can leave it to their liberty, right?
This interaction is not a priority for them.
This is a priority, but we are they might be sitting in the crowded place. Probably they might be sitting in their staff room, which is obviously a crowded place. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
listening to you is always priority for everybody, and you have always you have early come to yes. Dr. Swati has switched on her camera. When you had visited Gyan Vihar University probably a decade back, you can recall, we were so excited, we were so thrilled to see you. Probably you visited twice Gyan Vihar University, and on both these occasions we had faculty interaction sessions with you, and both the occasions were really thrilled with joy, ecstasy, and you can recall those.
Yes, I think I remember Swati.
Yes. That I have met her maybe twice, and
yes,
I have met sir at Thanagati also.
At?
He was there at Tarun. Were you at Tarun Bharat Sangh's ashram once delivering a session with Sri Rajendra?
I may have been.
Yes, I have
where the waterman was there, right?
Yes, same.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Good. Thank you very much. At least Swati and Neha responded to my very deep request of not being able to talk to the wall. It's always fun to speak to Trilok anyways. So this is about the question, Trilok, that you put was, how difficult or easy or important it is to bring industry experience in class. And it also reflects on the current position or trade that I am doing, that is Professor of Practice. Why, to me, the big question is, why some of the management institutions are able to attract the right set of people. Number two is, how do these people actually work in those circumstances that they create that kind of an impact? Now, see, management is not science. It's kind of, a mix of art and science. So, whereas hierarchy or delegation, or let's say a structure or a compensation or a pay structure, all of this is science, based on number of years of experience and all that. But at work accomplishment is a result of numerous factors coming together. And that exactly is not science. So when management is not science, when you teach that in the class, you have to either take the participants in a context, bring them into a context, give them a problem to solve, and then ask them to think over. Because when they go out into the real world, post an MBA, they are expected to perform. There are no scripts which you will get from a book. In the real managerial world, you will have to take decisions. You have to perform, right? You have to think. And, you have to, in that same decision, whatever we talk about today is analysis and evaluation of choices and risk management, all of that, which you go through entire different courses, all of that gets together in just that 1 minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes of decision making, which you have to take. And that normally either comes out of experience, or your seniors or colleagues will tell you what works, what doesn't work. But if the MBA student wants to develop their own ability, their first ability that they have to strike is on their ability to think and evaluate, think critically. Now, thinking critically, it cannot be learned just from the book. Book tells you, Richa?
Richa ji, can you silent yourself?
Mute yourself.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes, muted.
So, where was I?
You were sharing, yes.
Yeah, in a class from the book, it's very difficult to understand the context, and the case tells you a certain decision that was taken. So obviously, you will try to defend that. Whatever decision was taken, you will try to defend that, and in that process, learn or not learn. When you have to take the decision yourself, and let's say you have to take a contradictory view or a critical view of why things work, why things don't work, that's the real management that you learn, and which is an art more than a science. Now, when you teach art is mostly experiential. I mean, you have to experience it, just like when I say you're given a problem, you have to think about the problem and take a decision around that problem in order to explain the things to the students. This experiential thing, if you have not worked enough, or you have not researched enough, or you have not worked on enough projects or assignments, or simplest of them is if you have not read enough. And you may not have got a chance to work, you may not have got a chance to do MDPs and projects and other things as a faculty. But if you have to get over all these shortcomings, then the best thing you could do is to read as much. Now, reading as much relevant literature, relevant research, and relevant issues that are brought together that come up on an everyday basis. Wait a minute. Just a minute. I'm so sorry.
I know. Welcome.
Let me just put it down.
No. You can attend the call.
No. Wait. My priority is whatever I'm doing, that has to be my priority. Yeah.
You were telling us how to create the true artist out of the students, teaching management as an art, and connecting
when you teach
them
an art,
to
it has
industry.
to be experiential, right?
Experiential. So
And
how to transmit that experience?
Right. And where do you get that experience from? Either from the experience set of the faculty, or doing it yourself, right?
Yes.
And when it boils down to that, the young kids are young, it boils down to the faculty's ability to bring that experiential environment in class. Where do you bring that from? Either you have had work experience, or you have done enough projects or assignments or research. And if both of these have not been possible for various reasons, I know 90% of the faculty, sometimes they find it difficult to research. Sometimes they find it difficult to get time to do all of that amidst everything else that they do. Or they may not have a work experience, but how much you have read at least. I mean, how much you have prepared before the class at least. How much you are preparing on an ongoing basis. For example, if you're, let's say, teaching, let's say, supply chain, okay, and when you're teaching supply chain disruptions, so what are the kind of disruptions? Suddenly, when you talk about disruptions in the class to the students, what kind of things can you bring from experience? Do you have an experience of a real disruption? No. Okay. Have you researched on a real disruption? Maybe not. Then what can you recollect is popular examples of where students can relate to a real disruption somewhere, right? That's kind of creating a storied environment in the class that is experiential. So when, let's say, I can quote an example. I don't know how many of us would have been following newspapers during that period, but there was this Suez Canal. There was a ship that was stuck in the mid of the Suez Canal, which was not allowing any other ship to go through and any other ship to come by. Right. And both sides of the canal, there was a huge jump in the number of ships waiting to be crossing. It took about more than a week for that to clear. Some of them actually took the Cape of Good Hope route down South Africa in order to get to the Atlantic. So the idea there is, how relevant can you make your example? Theory or book is something the student can read, but they never read.
Right.
By the way, they can read, but they never read. So the best way in which you could teach that is read yourself, number one, and bring those examples
to the classroom
from the real world. And how do you remember those examples? That's a big problem, right?
Right.
You can't do it by reading the same thing in the morning. See, when you read the set of examples in the morning before the class, that's called class preparation, you will be able to recollect some of them. But if you you say that I have experience, I have read the topic, I have dealt with it last year also, I taught the last year course also, I don't need any much preparation for today's class, then you are on a slippery ground, because you would definitely not remember. You're not dealing with those cases day in and day out, right? So they will not be imprinted here. You have to do some preparation, either go through your own notes. If you're teaching supply chain disruption, if you have been keeping, see, I remember I have a mobile on which there is a Google Notes, in which there are hundreds of different pages on which the heading is something that I connect with and I teach and I speak about. And from there, down there, there are hundreds of examples. I just have to, just before the class, I have to search for that keyword, go through some of the examples that I can, and then use them in the class. Number two, I read an Economic Times. Based on what we teach, we go through some of the things in the morning or through a newspaper or something, and then are
Connect
able
them
to
to the
relate
classroom.
more or are able to remember a little bit more. That's about the starting point of making a class experience.
Right.
Beyond that, there are simulations.
Yes.
Beyond that, there are actual living case studies. Beyond that, there are live projects that you could do. Because why I'm saying this is the thing that has happened has happened. That does not give you a right or wrong way, because everything that happened was in a context.
Yes.
Right. Today, Baiju, this morning, I heard that Baiju wants to, close the deal with BCCI, as in the Cricket Control Board of India. We know why, right? Baiju is going through a rough phase. They are shedding 5 to 10% of their people on board. There are issues around how to expand the business and so on. So they have to conserve money, and then they have to connect it to, what are they spending on? And a huge expenditure was happening on cricket sponsorship, and so they have requested BCCI to leave them out. If this is a morning example I have read, this sticks to me, and I can bring that in the class. There's an unsolved case of what happens to Baiju, but what they can do, they cannot do, they should do, they must do. All of that should be coming from your own practice, experience, and reading at least. Not, if not research, if not work experience, then reading more, maybe research, and maybe the newspapers.
Great, great. Dear colleagues, Professor Kamal Sharma has shared his experiences of bringing experiential learning to the classroom. He has shared that if we can bring experience, that's fine, but otherwise, research and reading can help us in connecting the student with the real world. Now, I will make it more open house now. If you have some questions, how to introduce the experiential learning in the classes, how to make the students really feel the kind of industry experiences that they should have. So you can interact, you can raise your questions, or you can give your own opinion if you have. The house is open. You're all welcome. You can unmute yourself and speak.
So maybe let me preempt points of view. First, and now my sincere thanks to everybody who has put your videos open, because I know that we have struggled with the online medium of teaching MBA.
Yes.
And we have struggled with students trying to do multiple things when they are online, and that is why they do not put on their videos. And we have struggled with that, process of not being able to impart enough learnings to the students. And so it's important that, when we are in an online mode, we are ready for interaction in a video mode. That's one. Two, when we talk about experiential learnings, there are different tools to do that. There are explicit tools and there are implicit ones. For example, when you take a case, the case gives you that, Britannia or ITC did an e-chopal and did this, did that, Nano did this, did that, and, this
one complete story is given.
Yeah, motors, complete story is given.
Yes, complete
History
context
is also
there.
given.
Student is able to relate to that context.
Background of people is also given.
Yes.
Right. When I can bet that when students have been asked to make a presentation in the class, all of you, they would have mostly 99% of them would just explain what is done, give, with some fancy PPT coming in and going out and all those things, some voices or claps or somewhere here and there. Some people might go a little deeper into explaining the decision in a context. Okay, the best case discussion. The case is not that. Case discussion is not that. In fact, we have done an injustice to the case if we have not discussed it in the way the case should be. Case discussion is about you. If the students are not able to trigger a discussion on what were the other options, what could have gone wrong, what could have gone right, was that better or this is better, what they did. Now that the student has even a post facto evidence of something worked or something did not work, they can take evidence from there also. But if the faculty has not done enough homework of going through the case and bringing out alternative questions and put that for discussion in the class and ask the students to think over and defend what they can and they should, we are doing injustice to the case also and to the class also. So these are implicit ways, and there are explicit ways of bringing experiential learning in classes. The simulations. Now Harvard is big on that. Or you can find simulations in almost every subject.
Yes,
it's not easy thing to do. Obviously, you have to go through the simulations at least once or twice. Do it yourself, and then the big contribution that a faculty does in a simulation is the facilitation of learnings, of how certain things have happened inside the simulation and how does that relate to theory and the real
life.
So, the real life. And that's where the value of facilitation of faculty come in. So they just can't, rise up one day and say, I will do a simulation today and bring that to the class. It's a tool that has to be learned first. You have to go through a couple of iterations to be able to do that. So these are explicit experiential learnings. There are implicit ones wherein a given case you can dig deep into. And there is then an entire range of live projects, live cases and other things. Now, you could ask questions.
Any questions?
There's a problem in not asking questions also. The same thing, if you are not able to trigger that in the class for your students, you have to question yourself as, whether you are doing justice to teaching or not. I'm a little harsh on these things because, I've done now teaching for 12 years. I've done teaching at IIMs. I've done teaching at the lesser known institutions also. And I understand the difference, what a faculty can bring to the class. And remember, management teaching is not a science that you can just 2 + 2 = 4, hence QED, and leave the class and just voila moment for the students. Now I understand 2 + 2 = 4. It's not that, right? Management has to be taught in a context. Give me a moment. There's disturbance in the background. Give me a moment.
So, dear participants, the discussion that we have had so far is about how to bring a case-based teaching, how to bring experiential learning in the classroom. And if you have any point you want to discuss, you're welcome. Professor K K Sharma has very aptly shared his perspective. And since he already has 2 decades of corporate experience, so it's easy for him to bring the industry experiences in the classroom and connect the case study with real life situation so that the students are able to relate that case study, the real life experience with their world vision. So he carries huge industry experience and now huge academic experience, bringing them together in a very, that's what he has said, the art of teaching management. Yes, any one of you, if you have any questions? I think there are no questions. Yeah. Somebody was saying something.
I actually run a marketing and advertising laboratory in our department. And my lectures are mostly based on, practical work that the students do. So every year I make them prepare some very innovative print media advertisements, and then, come up with some new packaging simulations. And I've been teaching this subject ever since 2010 onwards. In my 12 years of teaching experience in this subject, we have only been able to file 2 patents. They were the design registrations of packaging simulation. One is still in pipeline. We'll get it registered soon, and one is already registered. So, sir, somehow, I have been facing this problem that when I ask students to be innovative, they're always copying it from somewhere else. Like if I ask them to come up with new commercial videos, they'll copy it from YouTube. This problem we are not able to overcome ever since a decade. It's been like so long.
Swati, have gone to the core of the real problem. Swati, it's not only an interesting and fascinating, it's a very intelligent question. And you're actually hitting the core of the student learning process. As I said, our education system is not primed to get the students to think critically, right? Till class 12th, it has all been rote learning because we are in a rat race to get a certain level of marks, or let's say a refined version is IIT, JEE and all, where there are a lot of application orientation. So if you don't understand the concept, you will not be able to solve those problems. So that's a different world, and that's why you find the IITs and NITs are doing wonders everywhere in the world, because the best of brains who have been taught to think analytically, understand conceptually, are the guys who go there. It's not that only the science stream has those set of students. There are students of all streams who are very good at how much the teacher has been able to stoke this quality, how much the school system is able to stoke this, how much the overall education system has been able to do in India, very few. Sometimes it comes through parental guidance, sometimes it happens through peer pressure, sometimes it happens through coaching institutions, which do some of these jobs in a very concerted way, and hence they do a good job of it. But otherwise, they're not taught to think. Now, when they get into graduation, a sudden, I'm talking about the practical aspects. I'm not talking about the 0.1% or 0.5% cream of the population. We have to be, what we are dealing with, those are the kind of students we have to be worried about, right? At Suresh Gyan Bihar University and others. When you talk about the students in graduation, they are actually feeling of liberation from parental pressures that now I have chosen something on which I have to do. So first year and second year, somehow it just goes into that feeling of liberation and freedom and liberty, all those things. In that process, that's the most difficult period. See, students in class 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and below that are more prone to, or more closer to, a disciplined environment where they voluntarily given that, yes, this discipline I must follow. But in a graduation, the first 2 years of graduation are the most difficult for any faculty, because suddenly the students have been liberated and they have to catch their attention. You have to catch their interest, or create or generate that interest in that subject. Quite a lot of us, I'm so sorry to say, quite a lot of our faculty.
There is actually one more problem that I'm, seeing in the youth since past 3-4 years. This has grown into the students. They want to grab a job right in the last semester or even second last semester and start working, and they wish that the university should give them an NOC, let them only give the examination papers at the end of the semester, and they should they're only looking for a job somehow.
So I am
which
coming to that,
may not
Swati.
be
So
as good or as bad or as paying or not, doesn't matter, but they want a job because they want to earn money.
I'm coming to that. I'm coming to
So
that. See,
this is
you have
one
to
reason.
first.
I don't have students with me. I have, frankly speaking, sir, one semester is hardly of 3 months. 3 months of teaching, believe me. Like the admissions are going on till July end. August orientation takes place. September, October, November is the first semester.
No,
In
no, I
October,
got you, Swati.
and
Swati.
December we are conducting
Swati is not
first
listening, I
semester.
guess.
I'm just telling you my problem, that
No, no,
it's
I
only
understand. See, I've gone through all this, Swati. The 3 months is not a short time. Your number of credits are divided as per a certain science of how much of student attention is required, how much of input is required. And so 2 credits or 2.5 credits or 3 credits or 1.5, whatever credits distribution, it is done based on a certain science and norm. So 3 months or 2.5 months of a term is not large or small. It is educate to deliver. It's not about the duration of the
no,
term.
no,
It's about
that
the
is true.
attention of
But
the
then when my
student.
students are not there, actually when I've groomed them by the second semester, and then when I expect some good work out of them in the third and fourth semester, they are